From a hygiene perspective, how gross do you think medieval sex was? Not gross enough to keep people from fucking, cause here we all are. Probably not that much more gross. Without high-sugar processed diets of today, oral hygiene might not be as bad as you think. BO is harder to manage without antiperspirant, but you can tolerate more if you're socialized to it. It's kind of a learned behavior to hate it in modern society because it's so avoidable. Humans are animals that like to groom themselves. People didn't just go around with mud but I think you're wildly lowballing just how dirty medieval people were. The Monty Python-style caricature of the serfs rolling in excrement is not what the real Middle Ages were like. People took baths, they made their own soap from rendered fat and ashes from cooking fires. If you were poor, you might have bathed at a public bathhouse instead of at home. Eating ass was probably a test of bravery. Regardless of how clean they were, infections and sexually transmitted diseases were brutal, and they didn't have many effective remedies. Urinary tract infections, yeast infections, these were not easily dealt with. Not to mention the dangers of pregnancy. And once syphilis started spreading widely, it was really a living nightmare for massive portions of the population. Haging Rask historians. Doesn't matter, had sex. It definitely smelt like a turtle tank when uglies started bumping. Eating ass would've been a real killer. It probably depends on the class. The nobility's hygiene probably is not too far removed from today's standards. In fact, it probably exceeds the average Redditor. As for the middle class and peasants, dirty, stinky, foul sex, but it probably didn't bother them like it would us. I think about this whenever I watch old West cowboy movies. How like, everybody stank like BO. Because there wasn't air conditioning and everybody had wool clothes and nobody brushed their teeth and dudes would wear the same pants for a month before getting to wash them. And how people just shit in holes right outside saloons and such. Tombstone probably smelled fucking atrocious. I just saw a documentary about Versailles, and they said people urinated and presumably pooped on the floor, or some brought their own buckets to use, but the smell was so atrocious that King Louis had perfumes handed out to guests at some point before they came in. And this would have been the most rich and privileged folks in the 18th C. Hard to imagine what it would have been like before. And one can only imagine how gross sex would have been between anyone. This is a Hollywood fake. They make everyone pre-America look dirty, with ragged dirty clothes. No basis in fact. They often did not have more than 2 changes of clothes, but there are many references to washerwomen, clotheslines, etc. Lots of people probably died from infections perpetrated through sex and the woefully unsanitary lifestyle. Also lube, friction is a bitch Elmo. If I was a medieval person I wouldn't think it was gross at all. If I go back in time I'd probably think it is gross. Had to have smelled like owl neck. Medieval washing was not most commonly by baths or showers. They did exactly what we might do if we were camping, or away from showers a while. They used a handcloth and bowl, and washed face, hits and bits. When it comes to hygiene, it's really only the crevices of the body that get stinky. No one's walking around with stinky shins. They also used perfumes, dried flowers,